I'm going to give you 9 signs that people often think it means they met their twin flame, but those 9 signs do not confirm a twin flame connection. The first thing that does not confirm a twin flame connection is that someone else told you. Only a quack would confirm something like a twin flame bond, especially without having all of the information, because other bonds can be quite intense too. So don't give your sovereignty away to someone else. Don't seek any validation outside from yourself. But also when it comes to yourself, I'm going to give you some reasons that you should not rely on. But if someone told you you are twin flames, that does not mean that you're twin flames, because you don't maybe even know the person. Sometimes you just call a psychic, have like a 5-minute conversation, or they watch you pick a card or anything and it says twin flame, and then they see it as proof that that is the twin flame, and that can be absolutely wrong. No one can know 100% sure, especially not after a very short conversation. And even a very experienced twin flame coach would need a ton of information before they can say, yes, that might be a twin flame. But no one can give you 100% guarantee. So please don't give your power away and let another person define your connection. Absolutely not possible. And if someone tells you, yes, 100% sure you're twin flames, they don't really know what they're talking about, and you should absolutely discard it. The next point, believe it or not, are signs and synchronicities. And yes, in my videos, 20 signs that you have met your twin flames, I talk about signs and synchronicities, and I talk about what happened with me when I got them. If you watch that video, you will see it is completely different from what I'm telling you about this now, because I was bombarded with signs without asking for them. I was not trying to manifest them. And they came in an intensity that I realized something big was going on. There was like no denying it. But the problem is, people often want to know if someone is their twin flame. And yes, I did that at the beginning of my journey. And they're asking the universe for signs. However, if you ask for a sign and you have like an image in your head, or you want to see something, you can actually manifest seeing that thing. You can draw it into your reality. Another thing that can happen, it is called confirmation bias, which means that you have trained your brain to notice them quicker. So when numbers, patterns, for example, appear or something, your brain will look for it and it will come into your conscious mind, because there are so many things around you. And there is a filter in your brain that is filtering what becomes aware for your conscious mind, because your conscious mind cannot process anything around you that streams in through your senses. But as soon as you give something importance, then confirmation bias will mean that if there is something around you and your body, your eyes see it, then there is this filter in your subconscious mind who is things like, okay, usually we would discard that, but she told us, or he told us, they want to see this, so we put it into the conscious mind, and then you can see it. Also, of course, as I said before, we can manifest signs and synchronicities, so those are not proof for a twin flame connection, especially if you were asking for them. The next point that does not prove it is a twin flame connection is the intensity. Intensity can come up in other soul connections, and of course also in trauma bonds. Intensity by itself, definitely not a sign. I mean, yes, all twin flame connections, they are intense in their way, but not every intense connection is a twin flame connection. Another thing that does not mean it's a twin flame is the instant recognition. Instant recognition happens with close soul bonds, but not all of those are twin flames. Instant recognition can happen in friendships. It definitely happens when a mother sees her baby for the first time and there is the instant click. So it can happen in family connections. It can happen with a tutor-mentor relationship, for example. It can happen with anyone. Often you just feel a sense of peace around them, or you have the sense like this person is important. But in romantic situations, we often give it even more meaning, and it is felt even stronger. So even though, yes, twin flames, they have this instant recognition, definitely, and very intensely so, not every connection where there is instant recognition automatically means it is a twin flame connection. Another thing that also does not prove something is a twin flame connection is the on and off cycles, the push-pull dynamics, or even ghosting. So the classic, we keep breaking up and then we're reuniting, that gets romanticized as twin flame separation phases, but in psychology it is called intermittent reinforcement, which creates addiction, not destiny. It means that you don't get closure in a way when somebody all of a sudden distances, and your system wants to know why, and then puts that person kind of like a pedestal and gives it a lot of meaning because it does something to you. There's maybe pain that comes up, and that can kind of create this kind of intensity, but also the kind of obsession with that specific person that maybe would have been completely ordinary until they ghosted. And then all of a sudden, since your nervous system doesn't get the closure that they crave, your nervous system always wants closure, it marks that person as important. Also, of course, the push-pull dynamics and the ghosting, it has to do with our self-worth, our self-concept, and our loss of fears of abandonment, and maybe even an anxious avoidance style. So if we have that within ourselves, we will always manifest avoidant people who ghost. And that doesn't mean twin flame. It just means that there is something unhealed within ourselves, or we didn't get the closure, and your system wants it, and by that, marks this person as important. Also, unfortunately, I have to say that, for some people, ghosting became pretty normal. Like, I don't like this person romantically, but it is so uncomfortable to tell them, so I just ghost. And I absolutely hate that some people do it, but unfortunately it is what is being done by many people right now. So if you wanted to learn about why am I being ghosted, why is this important to me, it just simply may be your nervous system wanting to understand something and wanting to get closure. And that is why it feels this intense, and that is why the obsession maybe came up. And the problem then is that if people do a little bit research, they stumble onto the term twin flame and immediately see like, oh, this person, they ghosted, like this is a twin flame. But no, even though, yes, in twin flames we do have the separation phase because a lot happens. Also with the nervous system, a lot of recalibration, a lot of old stuff comes up. So often there is the separation phase that can last a while, and often actually years, in order to clean everything that comes up. Yes, so we do have the separation typically in twin flame connections, but it does not automatically mean it is a twin flame connection. Another thing that does not automatically prove that this is a twin flame connection is the trauma activation, or you could also say the emotional dysregulation. Often people mistake soul nervous system activation for soul recognition, and I believe, yes, it is that. Your soul recognizes something about the energy in the other person, but as I already said, if someone triggers abandonment wounds or childhood fears, obsession, or this emotional chaos, then it does feel profound. But in reality, that can be a trauma resonance and not a twin flame confirmation. And often, in my experience with many clients, and I've been coaching for 20 years now, talking to many thousands of people, those who did not really work on their stuff, they attracted someone who was not available, for example, or who was not very kind, maybe narcissistic even, and if they didn't actually look what had been mirrored to them before, maybe what comes from their childhood, and they just oppressed it, and after they broke up, they didn't really deal with it, they just oppressed it, then your nervous system wants to heal those old wounds. It will make sure that the next connection is even more intense. And those who then still don't learn it, well, the next connection is going to be even more intense. And if you still don't learn it, well, then it is going to get amped up and it is going to be super intense. And that does not mean automatically twin flame. It can mean you have oppressed your stuff for too long. The universe mirrored your stuff many times, and you still refuse to grow. You just oppressed it, or you did a little bit of work but not consistently, not like every day as one should to rewire one's brain. Well, then it will come up again. Or also, of course, those clients I've had that then went to, like a Reiki session, for example, and thought, well, if I go there, or if I go to, a shaman, and they're going to take it away from me, that whatever has been this dark energy. No, if you don't actively work on your stuff to rewire your brain, it will come back and it will get even more and more intense. And that does not automatically mean twin flame connection. Another thing that does not prove twin flames is, for example, astrology or numerology. And often people, they feel connected to a person and then they come up with, okay, we are like the same sun sign or we have the same numerology. That must mean we are twin flames. But a twin flame is your kind of like perfect counterpart. They are a lot like you and complementary in other things. So you cannot go based on a couple of numbers or your sun sign. Really, pretty much everything in your horoscope would scream not maybe just twin flame, but strong soul connections. Like your astrology, yes, there are, in my opinion, markers for twin flames, but you don't have like 1, 2, 3, you have like pretty much all of them. And how do you find them? Well, I do have a playlist called Signs of Soul Connections in Astrology, where I have many different videos on different markers. But one, of course, is not matching sun signs. It is, do we see some kind of activation of growth within the other channel? Do we have positive trines that support one another? Do we have a little bit of friction to overcome something? But is it most of all pretty positive? Is there maybe yin-yang energy? What about Juno? Juno is the planet that tells us a little bit about who our perfect counterpart is. So there is a lot to go off. And even then, it will not be like, okay, this is 100% your twin flame. It will tell you if it is like very likely or not that likely. So you cannot go based on that, like shared sun signs, for example, and think, or opposing sun signs, and then think, okay, that means we're twin flames. Absolutely no. Another thing that does not automatically mean that you are twin flames is telepathy, and you have been seeing them in dreams or you've sensed their emotions. I have had that with people in my past who were not my twin flame. It basically means that you are very much focused on them and you're attuned to their energy, even though they're not in your life. And maybe you pick something up, but most of the time, remember, everyone is as pushed out. So often it is something we project onto the other person and then we can sense it back. And you also need to be aware that our brain is exceptionally good at pattern completion and projection, especially under emotional load. What does pattern completion mean? It may mean that you don't know this person very well and your brain automatically fills in the gaps and then you have the feeling like you do know them very well. But it doesn't come from anything that you really perceive. It is something that your brain actually makes up. So dreams and a felt presence, they can happen with attachment bonds. They can happen when there's unresolved grief and longing. And yes, they can happen in twin flames, but not exclusively twin flames. Also, there's stories where this happens with like real twins, like biological twins, or mothers felt that something was wrong with their children. It can happen when we have a close connection with someone, that we have like this inner sense because we are attuned to their energy. And the last point that does not prove that someone is your twin flame is the feeling of no one else compares. Yes, that does happen in twin flame connections, but it also happens in puppy love. The first deep bonds we have in our life. That is why many people said the first love is the biggest one. It happens in trauma bonds, but also in the beginning, in the idealization phase. When you meet someone, and some people tend to put the other person on a pedestal. And as we just said before, they fill in the gaps and idealize this person, but it may not be based on reality. But when this happens, then it feels impossible to compare them to another person, because in that moment they're like the star, and it's like, I've never loved anyone like this ever before. And I've had so many clients where this happened and then eventually it faded. It doesn't even mean it is twin flames, so the feeling like no one else compared. And I also, of course, had it in the past when I loved men and I thought, oh my God, I cannot imagine to ever love anyone more ever again. But then it happened. Anyway, those were 9 points that do not prove that someone is a twin flame. If you would like to know more about twin flames, then you can check out my book, Awakening to Your Twin Flame. It is called A Spiritual Guide to Understand Your Soul Connection. And yes, I actually talk a little bit about signs in it. By signs, I don't mean the 20 signs I was talking about that you can also watch in my video. That is in that book as well. But also I was talking a little bit about astrology and other things that can happen that you have in common. But important remains, a twin flame will have pretty much all of the signs and not just like 1, 2, or 3. If you're feeling a little bit anxious on your twin flame journey right now, you can check out my coloring books. In it you will find twin flame union affirmations, twin flame growth affirmations, and I have one version for left-handed people where the image is on the left side to color in, and there is the echo, the you are affirmation printed on the right side, and then of course for the right-handed people it is vice versa. What's special about my coloring book is that in the back you will find a QR code, and with that you can get to a playlist that no one else has access to, where there are 11 different audio versions of these affirmations that you are coloring in the book. Find the link in the description box below.